The temple grew darker as the conversation took a more somber turn. Orunmila's eyes seemed to take on a deeper, almost sorrowful glint as he looked at Amadioha. There was a stillness in the air, a sense of something left unsaid, waiting to be spoken. "There is something else you must know," Orunmila said, his voice quieter now, almost as if he was reluctant to continue. "A story that began long ago, a tale of arrogance and consequences, a story about a child who should not have existed." Amadioha furrowed his brow, intrigued but wary. "What child? What are you talking about?" Orunmila turned his gaze away from Amadioha, looking toward the carved walls of the temple as though they held memories of the past. A demigod, born of a human mother and a god father, an abomination, or so the gods believed. Amadioha's eyes widened, his curiosity deepening. "A demigod? I thought the union between gods and mortals was forbidden." "It is," Orunmila replied, his voice tinged with sadness. "The child was born many years ago to an Edo woman in what is now a part of modern Nigeria. The mother was a mere human, and the father a god, one who believed love could transcend the boundaries of divinity and mortality." Orunmila paused, and Amadioha could sense the weight of what was coming next. "The other gods," Orunmila continued, "they could not tolerate such an abomination. The thought of a human wielding the power of a god terrified them. They could not imagine a world where such a being existed, so they decided to eradicate the threat before it could grow." Amadioha felt a chill run through him. "They killed them!" Orunmila nodded solemnly. "Both of them. The mother and the father. The gods acted out of fear, believing they were protecting the balance of the world. But in their arrogance, they failed to see the consequences of their actions. The child survived, though he was left abandoned, alone, with no knowledge of his origins, no understanding of what he truly is." Amadioha clenched his fists, anger bubbling within him. "They killed the parents, but left the child. Why?" "The gods believed the child was powerless," Orunmila said, shaking his head. "They believed that without the guidance of his parents, he would grow up as an ordinary mortal, never knowing his true heritage. They thought they had removed the threat, but they were wrong." Orunmila's gaze turned back to Amadioha, his expression intense. "This child, though he has not yet manifested his power, is destined to become the greatest threat the gods have ever faced. He has grown up without understanding who he is, without knowing the truth of his parents' fate, but that will soon change." Amadioha's eyes narrowed, his voice low. "How?" "A tempter will come," Orunmila said, his voice almost a whisper. "Someone who sees the potential in the boy, someone who wishes to steal that power for themselves. This tempter will lead the child to manifest his abilities, pushing him to unlock the divine power within him, but their plan will backfire." Amadioha tilted his head, curiosity mixed with concern. "Backfire?" Orunmila nodded. "The tempter will reveal to the child his true origins, what happened to his parents, how the gods saw him as an abomination. The child will be filled with rage, with a desire for vengeance against those who wronged him. He will become something the gods cannot control, something that threatens the very balance they sought to protect." Amadioha remained silent for a moment, the weight of Orunmila's words settling over him. "And what does this have to do with me?" Orunmila's eyes softened, his voice filled with a mixture of sadness and resolve. "Because, Amadioha, when the time comes, you will have to face this child. You will be the one who stands between him and the destruction of everything we hold dear. This child's fate is intertwined with yours, and it is up to you to ensure that his power does not lead to the downfall of all that exists." Amadioha looked down, his thoughts a whirlwind of confusion and determination. "And the tempter? Who is he?" Orunmila shook his head. "That I do not know. Fate has kept that hidden from even me. But I know this. When the time comes, you must be ready. The balance of the universe depends on it." There was a long silence between them. the gravity of the situation settling over both gods like a heavy fog. Amadioha clenched his fists, his resolve hardening. He had faced trials before, but this was different. This was not just about his power, his strength. This was about the fate of the world, about righting the wrongs of the past. "And what of the child now?" Amadioha finally asked. "Where is he?" Orunmila turned away, his eyes gazing into the distance as if searching for something beyond sight. "He is out there, somewhere, unaware of the storm brewing around him. But it won't be long now. The tempter will find him, and when that happens, the world will change forever." Amadioha nodded, the fire of determination blazing in his eyes. "Then I will be ready." Orunmila smiled faintly, though there was no joy in it. "I hope so, Amadioha, because when the time comes, it will not just be about power. It will be about balance, about ensuring that the rage of one does not destroy the many." The air in the temple shifted again as Orunmila turned his focus back to Amadioha. There was a stillness between them, a sense of quiet before the storm. Orunmila's eyes were unreadable, his expression carrying both the weight of ancient wisdom and the intensity of what was to come. "I've spoken enough of others for now, Amadioha," Orunmila began, his voice breaking the silence. "It's time to turn our attention back to you. Before we begin your training, there is something you must understand." Amadioha tilted his head, curious. "What is it?" Orunmila walked closer, his eyes meeting Amadioha's with a gaze that seemed to pierce through to his very soul. "Tell me, Amadioha, what do you know of duality?" Amadioha frowned, thinking for a moment before answering. "Duality. It is the idea that everything has an opposite. Light and dark, good and evil, strength and weakness. It's the balance of forces that makes the world what it is." Orunmila nodded, pleased. "A good answer. But there is more to it. Duality is the essence of balance, the existence of opposites, each defined by the other. It is what keeps the world in harmony, what ensures that creation is maintained and destruction is held at bay." He paused, allowing Amadioha to absorb his words before continuing. "Consider the world around you. There are two genders, male and female. There is good and bad, hot and cold, happiness and sadness. To appreciate good, one must have experienced bad. To feel cold, one must have known heat. This is the nature of the world, each thing defined by its opposite." Amadioha nodded slowly, his mind processing the concepts. "So everything has an opposite to maintain balance?" "Yes," Orunmila replied, his voice filled with conviction. "This duality is what keeps the universe in equilibrium. Without it, all would fall into chaos. And that is why you must understand its significance. The Igbo people see Chukwu as all good, just as the people of Israel see Yahweh as all good, and the Yoruba see Olodumare in the same light. But the truth is, all these gods of great good must have a duality, a counterpart that represents the opposing force." Amadioha frowned, his curiosity piqued. "You mean a counterpart like a devil?" Orunmila smiled, nodding. "Precisely. Have you ever wondered why the so-called tempter, the devil, never dies, despite the power these gods possess to eliminate them? It is because they are both playing an intricate role that holds the balance of the omniverse, or reality as you know it. The great good cannot exist without the great bad. They must be in sync, like yin and yang." Amadioha's eyes widened as he considered Orunmila's words. The balance between good and evil, the necessity of both forces. It was a concept that resonated deeply within him, challenging everything he thought he knew about power and divinity. Orunmila stepped closer, his gaze intense. "But what happens when one of these forces falls out of balance? When the great good becomes too dominant, or when the great bad threatens to tip the scales?" Amadioha took a deep breath, unsure of what Orunmila was leading to. What happens then? That is when the universe activates its secret weapons, Orunmila said, his voice filled with purpose. That is when beings like you are brought forth. When balance falters, those like you, Amadioha, are called upon to restore it. Amadioha's heart pounded in his chest, his voice trembling as he spoke. Beings like me? Am I not a god? Orunmila's smile was filled with something akin to pride, his voice softening. You are more than a god, Amadioha. You are a bridge between good and evil, between creation and destruction. Though you do not yet fully know it, there is a power within you that rivals both the great good and the great bad. It is a power that only awakens when the creative force, the source of all things, detects an imbalance. Amadioha's gaze hardened, determination flickering in his eyes. And what is this power? Orunmila nodded, satisfied by Amadioha's curiosity. This power is beyond anything you have experienced, a force that can shape reality itself. But it is not something that can be easily wielded. It is volatile, dangerous, both a gift and a curse, and that is why I am here. He paused, his voice lowering to almost a whisper. In your training, I will teach you how to borrow a mere fraction of this power. Even that tiny fraction is enough to alter the course of fate, enough to challenge the very forces that threaten the balance of all existence. Amadioha's breath caught in his throat, his mind reeling at the enormity of Orunmila's words. A power so immense that even a minuscule fraction could alter the fate of worlds. He could feel both fear and excitement coursing through him, the realization of what lay ahead settling heavily in his chest. Orunmila's gaze softened, his eyes filled with understanding. This power is not something to be taken lightly, Amadioha. It requires not just strength, but wisdom, discipline, and a deep understanding of the balance that holds our world together. And that is why your training must begin now. Amadioha nodded slowly, his eyes meeting Orunmila's with a mixture of determination and resolve. I am ready. Orunmila smiled, his eyes carrying a glint of both hope and trepidation. I truly hope so, Amadioha, for the balance of everything we know, of reality itself, rests upon your shoulders. He stepped back, raising his hands toward the sky. Let us begin. But before Orunmila could say anything more, the ground beneath them began to tremble, a low rumble resonating through the temple walls. Amadioha's eyes widened, his body tensing as he looked to Orunmila for an explanation. Orunmila's expression remained calm, though there was an intensity in his eyes that spoke of the gravity of what was about to come. This is only the beginning, Amadioha. The balance is already shifting. Your training will determine whether you are truly ready for what lies ahead. And with those words, the temple seemed to blur, the world around them changing, shifting, and molding itself into something new, something more dangerous, more real.